great basketball.
Defender to the basket, Jason Tatum.
We'll be covering pre and post game back on this channel.
Woo! How are we doing, everybody? Welcome back in to Celtics Postgame Live. I am your host, Rob Tan. Joined with me is all my co-hosts, whatever you want to call them. Zack, aka the Celtics fan page, Finn, aka Celtics Insiders, and you guys all know Ian Angelo. The C's pick up a 128-120 big time win on the road in Game 6 in Atlanta. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown each scoring 30 points. Second time that happened this series. Jaylen Brown, how about 32 points? How about 6 of 8 from downtown for JB tonight? He was absolutely huge for the Celtics down the stretch. And Jason Tatum did his thing. 30 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists. Shot an efficient 55% from the floor and 40% from beyond the arc, which honestly right now for Tatum is what you're looking for, is efficient scoring out of him. Celtics, like I said, they beat the Atlanta Hawks 4-2. They will go on to play the Philadelphia 76ers in the Eastern Conference semifinals. That will be on Monday, May 1st. I don't know what time, to be determined, and I don't know if it's on ESPN or TNT, but that really doesn't matter. Guys, Zach, I'll start with you.
How did you survive?
Huge win. I need your thoughts, your reactions. So much to talk about, so much to get into with not just this series, but also Philly coming up. But let me hear it, what you got for me for this game.
That game had a little bit of everything, I think. A lot of up and down roller coaster of emotions. You know, it felt like they had lost the game at certain points, and then they just completely took over in the last 4 minutes. The Brown block followed by a Tatum putback on a Horford mystery was possibly the sequence of the year, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's worrisome how inconsistent their defense has been the entire series. I mean, I know the Hawks offense is good, but it just felt like there were no adjustments really being made on the defensive end, and we were just letting Trae Young abuse us in the pick and roll and the drop coverage and all that good stuff. But I mean, the offense was amazing, and you know, I think they hung 130 points on the Hawks at least twice this series. I think they're averaging like 115 or 120 points. So all they really have to do is clean up on the defensive end, and we'll see how that works in round 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Finn, let me hear what you got.
Felt like a roller coaster of a series, man. You know, I think there's some points where you look at it and you see some good, but I think we're seeing too much bad stuff as well, and primarily that's the defense. It just did not. It wasn't as good as it should be. Especially after game 1, you know, like for some reason, Joe Mazzulla was going into drop coverage in the last 2 games a lot, which just bothers me. Like, I feel like we should have learned the lesson with Steph Curry. And, you know, I think looking into game 2 or series 2, like I think like Rob Williams didn't have his best series and he was disengaged, especially tonight. So when we play like a big guy like Joel Embiid, I think it's time to put Rob in the starting lineup, bring Derek White off the bench, and, you know, have the best defensive lineup we can against touching a weak talent.
Yeah, absolutely. Ian, come on, man. What you got for me, man?
Hey, I mean, 4-2, that's what it is.
It was always season 6.
It was always season 6. Never, ever said season 5. But, yeah, this series kind of went longer than it kind of felt like it needed to. We were kind of seeing the same mistakes the Celtics were making in the past, which is not very good if you're a Celtics fan. So, but I mean, we won. You know, Tatum and Brown were great. I mean, Tatum played so bad yesterday or game 5 that it felt like we bullied him into having an elite performance. But yeah, I mean, it's just going to be one of those things where we can't make the same mistakes that we made in this series against the 76ers, because the 76ers are a lot better team and they have a lot more players that can do a lot more damage to the Celtics than the Atlanta Hawks do. So,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you're happy that we advanced, but at the same time, you know, like what Kobe says, job's not finished. So that's kind of the mindset right now.
Yeah, I think Atlanta, I think a lot of credit goes to those guys. They played a fantastic series. Trae Young was awesome. DeJounte Murray really kept them really in the series from getting swept. Um, I thought Quinn Snyder made adjustments. I thought they played physical. I thought they didn't let up. And a lot of credit goes to Atlanta. I think they kind of figured it out. Atlanta isn't a 7th seed, I don't think. I don't think their roster and what they have is. I think they ran into some loopholes throughout the season between the coaches and Trae Young. And I think there was some stuff happening behind the scenes with Atlanta that kind of made them fall into that playing game, to that 7 seed. And I think they kind of figured it out against Boston. So credit goes to Atlanta, first of all. I think they played a hell of a series. And they gave us they could have bent and, called it quits game 5 in Boston. They didn't. So respect there. I agree with Zack. I think the lack of defensive adjustments is worrisome in terms of Missoula's game planning. I really do think you have to adjust in the playoffs. But I mean, at the same time, like, I don't think Atlanta's deep, man. I don't think Philly has as many offensive weapons as Atlanta does in terms of they can go to Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, Daniel Hunter, Bogdanovich, Sadiq Bey, John Collins. I mean, they have the lob threat of Capella. They have so many different guys that can kind of get their own off the dribble. And I think Boston kind of was so focused on Trae Young that they couldn't find a balance. I don't think you're going to get that in Philly, guys. I don't know. Are you going to get that in Philly or what?
Oh, I think James Harden, honestly, you don't even know what you're going to get from him. Like, he's been super streaky to end the season, and he didn't have his best first round either. So I think, it's a guarantee that he'll probably get like above 9 assists. But on offense, I don't think he's good enough, anymore to be the guy. Same thing with Tyrese Maxey. They're very streaky. He's a guy that get you 17 or get you 30. I think Tobias Harris is not. I honestly think he's pretty overrated. So when I look at it, like, I think they score in bursts. They're pretty inconsistent and streaky. So I don't think they're going to be as consistent as DeJounte Murray and Trae Young were when it comes to delivering daggers. So that's definitely something I'm going to keep my eye on.
Justin, what do you got for us, man? Let me hear it.
Way to execute, way to, this is, I'm not going to sit here and nitpick, but this is exactly what they probably should have done about 48 hours ago at home. But it's really encouraging. And it was really encouraging to see Marcus Smart play the way he did at the end of the game. He had a couple possessions in the beginning of the quarter where it was like, oh my gosh, like he had a turnover and then 2 straight bricks wide open. And it's like, oh, like, here we go. And then he really turned it on. And I think that's really important. I think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum stayed the course. I thought Tatum's shot selection in the second half when it mattered most was a lot better than it was to start the game. Guys like Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon. I thought Al Horford was huge. Tonight, 14 rebounds, and they needed every single one of those rebounds. Atlanta's a tough, pesky team. I mean, you could put the 7th seed, you could put the 8th seed next to their name, whatever you want to do, but they're true professionals, and you really do have to tip your hat off to them. But at the same time, we have Philly. And I know later in the episode we'll dive into the matchup with Philly, but whether they have Embiid or not, Celtics got to be ready. Celtics got to come and show up.
Well, you said something that I actually want to talk about. As bad as I thought Missoula's adjustments defensively were this series, he made some coming into this game. We saw a lot more of Grant Williams, and Grant was big, I thought. For us down the stretch. I thought he was in the right place. He was setting a tone defensively, brought a physical aspect to the game that I think the Celtics were kind of missing. Great there. Another point, Marcus Smart, 6 minutes to go, right? Celtics end of the fourth quarter, this game, phenomenal compared to last game, right? You like totally agree. They should have done it in game 5 at home, but they fixed it for game 6. Smart came down, like you said, turnover, miscommunication with Jason Tatum, comes down 2 missed threes. Missoula pulls them instantly. And I thought that was extremely important because I think Smart took a second to kind of think to himself, oh shit, I'm screwing up right now. I'm not playing for the right basketball. And then after that, Smart comes in, great cut to the basket that JT found him for an Al Horford 3. Great defensive plays. He knocked down that big time 3 in the same spot, or the opposite side of the wing that he missed the other 2 on. So, I mean, after getting subbed out, I think he regrouped, he regathered, and I think that was super important for Joe to do that, because it's the small things like that, the smart sub that gets Smart back on track, where I do have to credit Missoula, because, that's pretty big, guys.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen in the past where sometimes the Celtics don't like to make adjustments and it hurts them. But in this case, I mean, you have to admit, playing Grant Williams a lot more definitely helped, and I kind of wish we did that sooner because, he only had a great game 3. But regardless of that, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't even really know. I think Joe was kind of getting over-hated on a little bit when it came to the series because, yeah, he wasn't making a whole lot of adjustments, but with a team like the Celtics, it kind of feels like you don't need to make that many adjustments.
Yeah.
It's just the poor execution.
Yeah,
but
that's a good point.
In this game, I mean, he did his thing, and Grant Williams played pretty solid from what I saw. I'm not going to lie. I only watched most of the fourth quarter. But what I saw, Grant Williams looked pretty solid out there. Kind of need Robert Williams to kind of be less disconnected in the next round, but I guess that hopefully that's just a one-off. And Philly's going to be the biggest test for these guys.
Well, and you know what's the best thing about playing Philly? Doc Rivers doesn't make adjustments either. So this could potentially just be a full series of just go at it. Players figure it out while you're on the court.
It's going to be back and forth. It's going to be back and forth like the entire thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, end of the day, fourth quarter came around. Celtics won that quarter 30-20. They only allowed 20 points. So I really do think when the time came to hunker down, they did. I'm not worried. I still believe this team's going to come out of the Eastern Conference, especially with Milwaukee out of the equation. Huge, like unbelievable. We haven't talked about that. But
wait, we can shit on Milwaukee now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it took a little. Yeah, right.
Let's go.
So something I want to say to that is, Rob, you just said like I forget exactly what you said. Like, I'm not going to panic or whatever, but like that, this is the playoffs. Like, you're not going to guaranteed sweet team. Like, teams are here for a reason. Teams are in the, Sweet 16, whatever you want to call it. Teams are there for a reason, right? Like, regular season aside, like the intensity is different in the playoffs. Look at what happened in the 8th seeded Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler, just absolutely disgusting. The Atlanta Hawks forcing Boston to a game 6 was 8 points away from forcing them to a game 7. Like these guys are putting up fights. This is the NBA, but the Celtics, remember in 08 against the Atlanta Hawks, the 8th-seeded team went 7. Then they went 7 again against Detroit in as well as who'd they play in the second round?
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
That went 7.
Like, they went 7 in all those series, and then they went 6 against the Lakers. Like, that's the NBA, and that's it's stressful and it sucks, but that's how it is. So Celtics going into Philadelphia feeling pretty good in terms of we closed out on the road. Celtics were 2. What was the thing you posted, Ian, earlier? 2-13 in game 6s. The last 15.
Yeah, I think it was like 2-11. I think
2-11.
And like
13
the last,
6s.
I think. Oh wait, hang on. I got it. Hang on.
Either way, like it's 2 on the road.
2-11 in their last 13.
That's great.
Yeah, so like this was
one of them came against Milwaukee last year, so that says a lot about them.
That was one of the two, and the other one was back when we played Chicago.
So like that's huge.
2017.
And I know Atlanta isn't Philly, and I know that they're not Milwaukee or Cleveland or anything like that. But at the same time, going in game 6. Winning, that's a huge feeling. That's a really, really good feeling to have. So Celtics will harp on this one and then focus on Philly come tomorrow. But this was really good to see.
They showed some fight, in my opinion, in the fourth quarter. That's what I was looking for, man. It was like where is like I felt like last year we really, and I think we do really, really want it, but it almost feels like for a second there they kind of thought to themselves, we're the Boston Celtics, we're the reigning Eastern Conference champions, we can just do this thing. And I don't know if that's the right mentality to have. Especially because the three other teams that are left, I think are all capable of making it to the finals. I think the Knicks have been playing good basketball. I think Miami, if Jimmy Butler keeps this up, they're going to be a tough team to take down. And like the two top dogs right now, Boston and Philly, who probably winner of this, series goes to the finals. So like they have an opportunity here now that Milwaukee's out, and they have to jump on it. Like, come on, you got to jump on it.
I just want to say there is, despite the fact that even last year we had Derek White and Marcus Smart, who are extremely capable defenders. But if you look at this year now with the Atlanta series and last year, we have gotten torched by extremely talented offensive point guards. Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving torched us in the Nets series for a large
for game one.
And Steph Curry, Trae Young, and Kyrie. They all torched us. And when you look at the teams that we beat, we match up better with teams that have talented forwards. Kevin Durant, Tatum and Brown match up well with them. We look at Miami, Tatum and Brown match up well with Butler. So you keep looking at who we played over those. And then, this year, I think we are a good matchup for Philly, but I quite frankly don't want to play New York. I don't think we match up well with them. I think Jalen Brunson is scary. I think Julius Randle's scary. So I'll take the Heat over the Knicks any day.
Yeah. I mean, it's
God, Heat Celtics again.
My thing with Miami is what they're doing isn't sustainable. Like Jimmy is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Like the hands down. That dude is a tank. It's tough with that. The playoffs roll around. That guy's different. But it's like they have a bottom 5 offense, and they were scoring 120 points per game against the Milwaukee Bucks. And I think that's just the kind of a product of which the Bucks were really, really not locked in. As great as Jimmy was, like I said, offensively the Bucks were almost as bad as they were defensively. And I look at how Miami was getting their buckets; they were kind of getting whatever the hell they wanted. So it's like I'm not worried. Honestly, the opposite. The Knicks scare me. Brunson, I think what they got going right now, they got a lot of momentum, man. And Madison Square Garden is a tough environment to go into. But it's like it's the only reasonable way I think the acceptable way to go out this year was losing to the Bucks in 7 games on the road. I think that was the only scenario in which I was like, okay, if it wasn't a championship, it was losing to Milwaukee in Milwaukee. That's no longer in the equation. So it is championship or bust, I think, from here on.
I completely agree.
Also, looking back at the way I said this on Twitter, looking back at the entire series with Miami and Milwaukee, the Bucks defense, and that's even going back to when we played them last year, their defense is horrible. Like their scheme is horrible. They let up so many threes every single the Miami shot like 30% above what they normally shoot on contested threes. I said it, when you let role players get going, think Grant Williams in Game 7 last year, think Caleb Martin, Game 4 in Miami. When role players start to get confident over the course of a series and you give up so many threes, that's what happens. And that's, I think going back to when we beat them by 41 this year, they let up so many threes. And when teams start to get hot, they can't stop it. And, Budenholzer is not a good coach. And I think he gets masked by how good Giannis is.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
true.
I was just going to say, it looks like the freaking bubble, bro. Like Duncan Robinson didn't play all season, and now he's coming off the bench and hitting 80% of his threes. I mean, I think I'm fine with playing. I would rather play Miami over the Knicks. I mean, I agree with the point that their level of play isn't sustainable, but you also have to the idea they don't have Tyler Hero or Oladipo.
Yeah.
Duncan Robinson is gonna get torched by Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
I just don't see a way when they beat us.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Miami and the Knicks, I have a feeling that's going to be one of the worst offensive playoff series we've ever seen in our lives. All of the games are going to end 82-75, and because it's Tom Thibodeau and Eric Spoelstra, and it's two of the worst offenses we've ever seen. But regardless of that, I don't know. Julius Randle was not very good when it came to the Cavs series.
He also got hurt.
And he got hurt too, so we don't know what we're going to get with that. Jalen Brunson kind of went on his own Jimmy Butler type run, more underratedly than Butler did, but he still had his own crazy run against Cleveland. So who knows if both of their offenses are really that sustainable. But I agree. I'd much rather play Miami. I mean, it's just one of those things. My only problem with Miami against the Knicks is Bam Adebayo. Bam, he is the most inconsistent center I've ever watched in my life. I mean, I joked around saying Robert Williams was better than Bam, but holy crap, it might actually be true. Watching Bam Adebayo play playoff basketball it's so annoying because he can do so much more. It just feels like he doesn't have, I don't know. I'm going to be like an old head. I'm going to be like he doesn't have that killer instinct in him or that dog in him to actually try to be better. Because damn, Jimmy Butler needed help and Bam Adebayo was nowhere. He was good defensively, but you got to give us more offensively. This is the fifth year in a row we've been saying we need to see more than Bam, and it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, and Mitchell Robinson absolutely destroyed Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. If Mitchell Robinson does that to Bam Adebayo, that's going to be tough. So, but Jericho Sims is out now for the Knicks too, so that sucks too. But
I agree. I don't know. I think Bam's just a glorified role player. The minutes where Rob played,
he's Robert Williams with a mid range.
Sometimes when that mid range goes in, but last year when Rob played, and he was hobbling on one leg in the Eastern Conference Finals, but when he did play, he still dominated Bam. I think Bam, he was an all-star this year, and Jimmy wasn't, and that's crazy to me because when you look at the Heat, everyone knows Jimmy's that guy.
He made it over Harden, which I also think Harden had a great year. I thought Harden was phenomenal all season long. And Bam is not listen. Bam Adebayo is a great system big man. Plays good defense. Offensively, he is so one dimensional in the sense of it's really him rolling to the basket. If you can get him in the sweet spot, he'll make that little floater in front of the rim that he's probably made 100 of against the Celtics. He's great at that, but outside of that, he doesn't do much, in my opinion. So I agree there. But yeah, it's it comes down to this series, and I think New York and Miami can give us a hell of a series. I think they could push this thing 6 or 7. Against us, if the right things go our way, don't go our way, and how we've been closing series or capitalizing on opportunities that have been bad. But yeah, I want to talk about predictions next series because I had said Celtics in 6 prior to when it was 3-1. I'm gonna say Celtics in 7 now, just because I don't know how we're gonna close out if we are up 3-1, how that's going to go, or I don't know how we're going to respond to Philly. I think we win, but I think it's on a game 7 on the parquet, and I think that's how we get it done.
Yeah, I agree. I think my biggest problem is we don't know how good Joel Embiid's going to be. We know he's injured. I don't know how injured, though, because they said it was he's going to be playing at 50%. Which, even 50% of Joel Embiid is still a pretty good player. So, if they get a hot shooting night from Tobias Harris or PJ Tucker, or if they get a hot shooting night from Tyrese Maxey although Tyrese Maxey has always struggled against the Celtics for some reason.
Yeah.
Like every single time he's played the Celtics, he's been terrible.
It's the big guard.
And if James Harden can go off, I feel like Philly can, make this a series even without Joel Embiid being at 100%. So I would also say Celtics in 7. I would have said Celtics in 7 regardless. But even with the Joel Embiid injury, I feel like there's too much fluky things that are going to happen because fluky stuff always happens to the Celtics. No matter what we can predict, there will always be something to happen to the Celtics that will just come out randomly. But yeah, I'm going to say Celtics in 7 because I think Philly has a chance. And they've played pretty good against the Celtics this year. They've done a good job of containing Tatum as well. Like, I think outside of opening night, Tatum had really bad games the other 3 times he played Philly. So that's kind of my biggest thing. But I don't know. We'll have to see.
I think it's Celtics in 6. I believe they're going to steal one on the road just because when you look at the matchup by matchup, the Celtics just have more depth. I'm looking at the 76ers bench, and I see like Shake Milton and D'Anthony Melton, and then I'm looking at the Celtics bench, and if Robert Williams is back in the starting lineup, which I anticipate he will be, you look at Malcolm Brogdon and Derek White, and that's just night and day. The Celtics are better. Grant Williams also, I expect him to have a big series, and because of this, as long as the Celtics play Celtics basketball, and I expect Embiid to not be Embiid himself, especially like they're going to need him to play 40+ minutes a night, and if he's not healthy, that's going to be a struggle. So I ultimately just think depth will overpower, and we're going to steal one on the guys.
I'll also say Celtics in 6. Probably a carbon copy. We go up 3-1 after splitting 1 on the road, choke game 5, and then go to Philly and win game 6. Like we always do, it's our thing. So might as well keep it rolling.
Hang on. Sorry to cut you off. Celtics playoff series dates just dropped. Game 1 is Monday, May 1st. Game 2 is Wednesday, May 3rd. Game 3 is May 5th, Friday. Game 4 is Sunday, May 7th. If needed, Game 5 will be Tuesday, May 9th. Game 6 will be Thursday, May 11th. And Game 7 would be Sunday, May 14th, which is Mother's Day.
So they're not giving us – we had a couple – I think we had we had like a 3-day break with this Hawks series like twice, I think, right?
The Celtics would have gotten a 3-day break if they won the series in 5.
Yeah. So like –
we have a 2-day break.
We have a 2-day break. No, we got
also
Thursday,
Al Horford.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 3-day.
Al Horford had one of the greatest quotes I've ever seen.
I saw that.
Someone asked him, and he said, "Some people you can't talk trash to. You talk trash to me, probably not good for you." That's incredible. That's great.
That's
Absolutely
playoff now,
love
baby.
it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would like to think that Game 5 against Atlanta last game was a wake-up call. Mind you, how many times have we said that this is the game that the Celtics realize, right?
Go back to the 2021 season.
Yeah, right. Like it's been forever since like we've been saying that for so long with Boston. I'm gonna give us the benefit of the doubt. I think they can get this thing done in 5 games against Philly. I really do think that's extremely possible. I don't think Philly can beat us at home in the first 2 games. I think we'll take those. I think it comes down to whether or not Philly executes. I think every game's going to be close. But last round every time we've seen Philly, they have really poor execution down the stretch, even better than ours. And I think Atlanta's execution was really good. And that's kind of why you saw them drag this thing out 6 games. They were good, man. I mean, Atlanta, I got to give them a lot of respect. I don't know how good Philadelphia is going to be down the stretch. So I'm going to say season 7, but it would not surprise me if we did this thing in 5 games because in a game 3 at home, Philadelphia, has some couple turnovers or, like stuff like that. in which causes them to cough up a game on at home. And, I think it's possible to see us do it in 5. I think they'll be more motivated against Philadelphia. I think they'll be more locked in. I think, it's getting a little bit realer now. You're in the second round. You got out of that trap first round series. Milwaukee's out of the picture. You got teams banging, they're banged up in the Western Conference. It's getting real for Celtics and Celtics fans right now as we're approaching getting closer to the Eastern Conference Finals and, eventually finals. So, I guess we do have a question. I will answer this. Everyone keeps going against Miami versus Knicks. What's y'all take? So who do we have in that Miami Knicks series? I got Knicks in 6.
I got Miami in 7.
Yeah, I'm rolling with playoff Jimmy. Miami in 6.
Miami in 7.
Though
you guys all go Miami.
I do think if the Knicks win, it's in 5.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so you think it's
unless I mean, we've said this for 2 or 3 years now. We say, "Oh, Jimmy Butler can't do this again. He can't do this again." It's just one of those things where it's maybe we should just accept the fact that he can do it, and if he's going to do it, then he's going to steal at least one game on the road, in my opinion, when it comes to that series. So I think, it just kind of I just have a weird feeling that we're just going to have to play Miami again. And, honestly, I think the Celtics are better off for it, which also means the Celtics will completely forget how to play basketball once the Eastern Conference Finals happens. But we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there.
Dude,
I said it last night. I said if the game is close tomorrow or tonight, it'll be Celtics win. If it's a blowout, it'll be the Hawks. I think it's the same way with the Knicks series. If it's close, it's going to be Miami. If it's a blowout, it's the Heat.
I like that. I think Jimmy down the stretch is just so damn good. It was just there's still part of me that wants to think this was just the Milwaukee Bucks having an all-time collapse, because I still do think that's a very real possibility that maybe Milwaukee was just so frazzled already being down 3-1 in that game 5 and being down 2-1 in that game 4 on the road that they just Jimmy capitalized. Quite frankly, game 4 was a Jimmy Butler masterclass. That was the greatest playoff performance I have ever witnessed, plain and simple. So I don't know. Yeah, it's tough to bet against Jimmy. I think the Knicks have just been a better team all year.
See, something I want to talk about Milwaukee, and I don't know, it feels like we're not crapping on Milwaukee enough. Maybe it's just because they're a small market team, and if they were in New York or something else, the media would talk about them more. But I know Giannis got injured in game 1, and he was practically not there for 3 of the games in that series. But Milwaukee was still able to win one of those games. So I'm not going to lie to you. I feel like we should still be giving the Bucks a little more shit about it. That quote from Giannis after the game, which was a very powerful quote. I liked it. But at the same time, it's it was a failure. The season was a failure for Milwaukee. That was a great speech, Giannis. It was great. Your team still lost in the first round as the best team in the NBA, and you didn't win a championship. And at the end of the day, pretty much every team in the NBA's goal, unless you're tanking for Wembanyama, was to win a championship. And Milwaukee did it, and Milwaukee didn't, and choked in probably the worst possible way. And also, Giannis choked at the free throw line again because he shot 10 of 23 from the free throw line, which I feel like people don't talk about that enough either. However, I don't know. I still think you have to give all the credit to Jimmy Butler because he literally did his best 2018 LeBron impression and absolutely carried, Miami through everything in that series. But I don't know. It might just be an all-time collapse for Milwaukee. I could expect them. I thought they would have fired Coach Bud already, but I don't know. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm rooting for playoff Jimmy Butler, and also I said this before. Jimmy Butler is a lot more fun to watch when he's not playing against the Celtics. I will say.
Yeah,
he's a lot more fun to watch in the playoffs when he does not have to face the Boston Celtics, and the Celtics don't have to Oh my God, play him every single year, like we're probably going to do again this year. So who knows?
Yeah, I agree. I think the Bucks season, no matter how you look at it, it's a failure. I think
Oh yeah.
they just
100%.
got exposed on so many different levels. Like their coach, he's definitely fired. I mean, I would think so at least. And then I'm looking at like Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton, and to me, like it's clear like they can't be the guy. Like I think that Chris Middleton, I think he's like, this might be bold, but I think he's washed. Like I think he low-key has
I don't think that's bold at all.
Kemba syndrome
Yeah, he's
with the
washed.
knee. Like in 2019 or 2020, Chris Middleton's dropping 30 a game, and they're probably going to beat the Heat. But I think Chris Middleton, his knees have definitely seen better days. Drew Holiday is good when Giannis and Chris Middleton are on. He can be that third guy. But when they needed to step up, they failed. So, I think they got exposed because of that. The role players did as well. And it'd be live if someone said it wasn't a failure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you have the best finals odds, when you're the favorites, you have the most wins in the NBA, and you lose in the first round of the playoffs against the 8 seed, that's a failure. And I saw Giannis's interview, and it was like, whatever, you gave the reporter some response in which this season wasn't a failure. And I get his point, what he's trying to make, but at the same time, when you are held to highest standards and you are Giannis Antetokounmpo and you are claimed to be the best player in the league, I feel like you kind of can't get bounced in the first round, especially in 5 games. So there's that. But Celtics, they pick up a 128-120 win in Game 6 on the road. They finally close out the series against the Atlanta Hawks. JB was leading all the C scores. He had 32 tonight, 6 of 8 from downtown. He absolutely was huge in keeping the Celtics in this game when the Hawks were rolling. JT had 30 points, 14 rebounds as the Celtics beat the Hawks 4-2. They advanced to the Eastern Conference semifinals. They play the Philadelphia 76ers. That game will be Monday, May 1st. Time will be determined. That'll be at the TD Garden. We'll have you covered here live for Celtics postgame live final right after the final buzzer sounds. Guys, thank you so much for coming in and joining us as the Celtics advance. And